Hello friends of Vaping It's Not Smoking. Today I'm with Bengt Wiberg. I'm sorry for that.
Bengt Wiberg.
How it's?
Bengt Wiberg.
Bengt Wiberg.
Yeah.
Bengt is the snus guy. He knows a lot, and for Latin America and Ibero-America, this is totally new. We are talking today with people that have never, some of them maybe hear about this, about nicotine pouches mostly. They have never seen it, they have never used it. So we are talking to, imagine you're talking that know nothing about it. So the first thing, Bengt, what is snus and what's the difference between a snus and nicotine pouches?
Okay, luckily I have one of each here. This is a tobacco snus. It contains grain tobacco, water, salt, flavors, and pH level adjusters. And you place it under your lip, your upper lip, they say about snus, but you might as well put it in your lower lip.
Can I destroy one?
Sure.
Because we are talking with people that have never seen them. So
you can place it here. If you want.
So inside what we got, as Ben said, it's
Grain
tobacco. And when you put it in your mouth, it starts giving you nicotine.
Yes, through the oral mucous membranes.
And
you can have it in for, like 60 minutes. It's very economical. Each can comes in 20 pouches. So the normal use in Sweden is about 4 cans per week. And the cheapest brand, you can buy it for like $2 per can.
Just to help you to...
Yeah.
So, tell us about snus, where it came from. As I understand, it's from Sweden, and it's a very old stuff. No?
Snus came from Latin America.
Ah!
Yeah.
And we don't have it now.
See?
You steal our gold and our snus from Europe.
I will tell you the story. For 1,000 years, native people in, for example, Cuba and Brazil have used tobacco by snuffing it into their nose and also chewing it, I think. Yeah. And when Christopher Colon, when he came back from the Americas in the end of 1400s, they brought tobacco plants with them. And what happens in Europe is that in the beginning of the 1600s, somebody found out about the old South American habits, what you can do with tobacco. So they were smoking it, which was new, of course, but they also made nasal snuff, which is like that powder that you put sniff in your nose. This was very popular in Sweden. Sweden used to have hundreds of tobacco farms, farming tobacco that originated from South America. In the end of the 1700s, the nasal snuff, it was mostly for the rich people, the aristocrats, came from France. And the ordinary people of Sweden, they also wanted to enjoy tobacco. So somebody came up with the idea that if we add agua, water, and salt to the tobacco, and we put it under our lip.
So I was right, it was made in Sweden.
Yes.
Ah.
Yes. Snus. The modern snus was born in the very last years of the 1700s. And then a long time passed until 1967. My mentor, actually, Professor Kurt Ensel, who was the R&D manager of Swedish Match, came up with the idea that if you put the loose snus, the powder, tobacco powder, in a tea bag and place it under your lip, you don't get sort of dirty.
Just to explain the people that are seeing us, because they have never seen it. I was lucky. I was able even to try it. The real snus, it's like a wet tobacco that you need to do a little ball and then put it in your mouth. And the bad stuff on it, it's that it starts going through the mouth and you ate little pieces, and it's kind of very uncomfortable, especially when you're using it for the first time. For me, it was not a very nice experience.
I do not recommend loose snus for beginners, because this is very much hygienical, and it is absolutely spit-free. You've seen perhaps United States tough guys chewing tobacco, spitting all over the place. You don't spit with this, you just swallow like normal, and you don't get any hiccups or whatever. But 50 years ago, my mentor, Professor Kurt Ensel, invented the bag. We call it a pouch. Some call it sachet. And from then, the first brand of portion snus came out in 1973. And today, if we look at Sweden, almost 100%, 95% of all snus is sold in portions.
Some people will think, why they are talking about snus if it's this channel of vaping and harm reduction? Sweden, it's the country of Europe with lowest rates of lung cancer. And that's because in Sweden, people don't used to smoke. You have the lowest rate of smoking, but a lot of people use snus.
That's right. And we have been using snus for, like I said, for tradition for 200 years. When the portion snus came, snus started to become more popular than smoking. And today, Sweden has the lowest smoking rate of all Europe. Only 5% are smoking daily in Sweden now. And about 25% of the men are using snus or these modern nicotine pouches.
Let's tell the people. First, I was going to ask you, the normal snus barely disappear. It's like
the loose snus that you have to bake yourself. It's only 5% of all snus sold
of all of snus users. From that 20%, 5% of that 20% use the loose snus.
No, 5% of all sales of all snus.
Okay.
So if you have 25% using snus, you have maybe 2% of that, 5% of that.
Okay.
Using loose.
And how many people have switched, even if we haven't explained yet what it's the nicotine pouches? Do we know how many people switched to nicotine pouches?
The number, already 10 years ago, the sales of snus was higher than the sales of cigarettes. As of today in Sweden, those who are still smoking are mostly from, we have a lot of immigration and coming from Middle East and so on. They have a higher smoking rate. But smoking became almost vanished, already starting.
No. My question is, from that 25%, do we know how much it's snus and how much it's white snus?
Oh, I see. Snus is still the most popular brand among men. The tobacco-free nicotine pouches are now more popular with women, but it's growing, and I think within 3-4 years, the nicotine pouches without tobacco, I am sure it will exceed the snus sales.
Let's go to explain to people what is the white snus or nicotine pouches.
Yes, I'm going to show you. You have shown the brown tobacco in this one.
And don't worry, in this one I got my own, so we will destroy one of mine.
We can use yours.
So to be sharing the damage.
Yeah.
So we have this one that, as the people can see, one it's bigger actually, but also it have the tobacco inside.
Yeah.
And this one, you can explain, Brent, what it's inside of this one.
Instead of tobacco, these products are more or less identical, but the tobacco content has been exchanged for plant fibers coming from, for example, a popular vegetable in your country, maize, corn fibers, cellulose fibers.
There we have the two different ones. So one
here's with tobacco snus, and here is tobacco-free nicotine pouches.
And in this one, as Bengt said, this one have only fibers and nicotine?
No, this one has tobacco, water, salt, flavors, pH adjusters. This one has exactly the same as that, but you replace the tobacco with plant fibers.
But this one have nicotine added because plant fiber doesn't have
you have to add the nicotine. Normal snus has nicotine in itself. Yeah.
Okay. And first, what's the difference of damage done to the person that smoke compared to tobacco snus?
There has been a lot of studies about this, and the most recent one was, it came 2 years ago by Merckett et al., American, saying that normal snus is about 97% less harmful than smoking. And on the same study, they concluded that tobacco-free nicotine pouches is about 99.5% less harmful than smoking.
I don't want to go that far, but I'm not a scientist, but if a scientist said that it's 99.5,
yes,
it's kind of actually none. Just to say, I will give almost
the
none.
small difference between traditional snus with tobacco and tobacco-free nicotine pouches is, I mean, we're talking more or less decimals.
But talking about something that it's 99.5% less harmful than smoking, it's amazing because it's barely disappearing, the damage.
Nobody has ever died from either snus or nicotine pouches in history, whereas 8 million people die from smoking each year.
300 years passed.
Yeah, 200 years.
Snus. So it's quite safe. And I must tell to the people that it's looking at our program that I have tried the snus. I was lucky, not snus, nicotine pouches, and they really work. They really, really work. It's not like maybe they will work when you use nicotine pouches. It really, really disappeared the wanting to vape. I don't know, because I could say it disappeared the willing to smoke, but I was not smoking anymore for a very long time thanks to the vaporizers. And I must tell a secret, Brent. For making this kind of interviews, I use Snus, so I don't vape. So actually in this
Same
moment,
here.
I'm
Same.
having a nicotine pouch and they really, really work.
That's the advantage. Today is Saturday, right? We are in Warsaw, Poland. Saturdays, I also vape. At the same time, I'm using Snus. And this is perfectly okay because this keeps me totally away from smoking. I quit smoking many years ago. So I enjoy a vape as well.
That's a bite.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird to know that this product that reduces that amount of damage to the people that smoke, it's banned in most part of Europe.
Yes.
What do you think about that? Why it's that?
It's totally, it is totally political because we have massive evidence dating back 50 years proving that snus is so much more less harmful than smoking. If we look at the United States, just 3 years ago, the Food and Drug Administration approved 8 brands of snus as the first ever modified risk tobacco product, which means they can advertise snus as something which is far less harmful than smoking. The first product in history that got this award was Swedish snus.
But, on the other hand, some countries in Europe are opening to have nicotine pouches. One, it's Poland. When I came here the first time in 2019, in Poland, the white snus was forbidden. You couldn't find it. I actually knew about the nicotine pouches because of you and Atakan, also an activist of snus and nicotine pouches. But now in Poland, you can find snus, and not only nicotine pouches, very good quality of nicotine pouches, I must say.
Yes.
So we are advancing.
It's spreading. Snus can only be sold in Sweden within the European Union because we have a permanent exception. Snus is also sold in Norway. The rate of smokers of young Norwegian women is now down to 1%.
That's something nice to know. Chile have very high rates of smoking. We are one of the biggest smokers as a whole country in Latin America. But when it came to females, we are the first one. With 37% of female smoking, it's more than 1 every 3 females.
Wow.
And I don't know why. It's something that maybe later the studies will reveal what's wrong with that. Normally females, the amount of men that switch to vaping, it's quite high, but females are kind of reluctant to switch, and they are still in very high levels of smoking. So it's nice to know that on females this kind of stuff work very well.
I'd like to, while you're listening, hello there, South America. There are several advantages with both snus and nicotine pouches as compared to smoking. Of course, the health issue, but also compared to vaping, because you go to a restaurant, nobody will know after your dinner you might put a snus or 2 in.
Actually, they don't know that we are having a snus now.
No, we do.
I will show it, but it will be kind of awkward.
Right.
But trust me, it's true.
Same thing with nobody goes outside the office or the factory in Sweden to smoke. We enjoy the nicotine while we are working. Even people, operating brain surgeons operating your brain. They might have a snus in while they are doing it because it doesn't disturb anybody else. And like I said before, it's quite economical.
Yeah,
because
it is.
one pouch lasts you for 1 hour.
I must disagree on that, at least in my experience. I don't know why. I don't know why you always said that, because it's a way long more than 1 hour. For me, I can have one nicotine pouch 2 hours and
Right, but
maybe more.
After 60 minutes, the nicotine begins to reduce. Of course, you can have it 2 hours. It will still taste good. And it comes in hundreds of flavors.
Yeah, that's true also.
Everybody can find a flavor they like.
Actually, the one that I have today, that it's from 77, that it's a Polish brand, that it's super good. I must say that we are not getting money from them or anything.
No, I know the owner.
Yeah, but they are super good and they have a lot of nice products. And this one is from strawberry.
Strawberry, right.
Strawberry, but there is with apple and mint, forest fruits and menthol.
Blackcurrant, you have also tobacco flavor,
Cola.
of course. Menthol, lemon, grapefruit, the only flavor I never seen is banana, but I don't think it would be popular.
No. Well, Bengt, the time's ended, but I need to make you a question that it's not connected with snus, but vaping, it's smoking?
Vaping is smoking?
Yeah?
No, of course it's not smoking.
Yeah, it's not. So I want to thank you to give your time to our campaign that it's vaping, it's not smoking, and snus, it's not smoking too. I really hope that this conversation helped the people in Ibero-America to learn more about other products that can save lives, even with less risk than vaping.
Yeah.
You have been fighting for very long for snus, and I really appreciate your work, and keep it on, because you have spread the word of snus for many, many years.
Muchas gracias. And if you go to Europe or North America, check out these products. And if you are a smoker, you will find it is very easy to quit smoking. Maybe by help of a vape as well, because then you are covered when you go on airplanes or whatever.
Or the cinema.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bengt. It was a pleasure to have you, and keep the good work.
Likewise.